All right, my name is Kevin. I am a Milky Way and mostly night photographer, and I thought I'd make a little video here to show you how to find and plan for Milky Way shots. I had a really great night the other night, and I found some great old barns out near my property, and got some really cool shots from it. So I figured I'd make a video and show people how to find these and how to plan for Milky Way planning. There's a lot of websites and tutorials, stuff like that, but I thought I'd make a video because they're a lot easier to follow and show you what I did to find this, to plan this. All right, now right now there's a lot of apps, I guess, that'll tell you where to find a Milky Way and when it's rising and stuff like that. And I'm not quite sure what those apps are. I've just always kind of memorized, in March, late March, early April, it comes out about 3 to 4 in the morning. The next month, it comes out about 5 to 6 in the morning, and so on throughout the months until about the middle of in the middle of summer. It comes up at about just as soon as it's dusk, the Milky Way's in the sky. So anyway, the first thing I do to find like buildings and interesting subjects to put the Milky Way over is the first thing you got to do is you got to find out if the skies are going to be clear. The first thing I do is I go here to a weather app on Windows 10. If you don't have Windows 10, get Windows 10. I don't know. If you don't have Windows 10, any old weather app that has radars will do. But here I go up and I go to Maps, and it'll show you the radar observation right now and it'll be moving. And what I'm most interested in is cloud coverage. So we go down to cloud coverage here on the MSN weather app. And right now it's a cloudy night. And you'll see down here it tells you the time, what it's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and pause that at 3 o'clock in the morning because that is when the Milky Way rises. Now tonight where I live it is super cloudy. So for the sake of demonstration, I am going to go down here to Nevada. And I've already kind of planned this out a little bit. I'm going to come down to Nevada and show you, like, if you lived in northern Nevada, you can see that at 3 o'clock in the morning and even into 4 o'clock in the morning, I've just advanced that to 4, it's going to be clear skies. So if you live in this area tonight, right here, you're going to be able to get a Milky Way shot if you head out in the middle of the night and go get it. Now there's a little town, I don't know if you can see it very well, it's called Carlin. I'm going to start with that. Called Carlin, Nevada. So if you lived anywhere near Carlin, Nevada tonight, you'd see, all right, now clear skies, I want to go get a Milky Way. Now, how do you know if it's going to be dark enough to capture the Milky Way? So from here, if I wanted to research this whole area here, I would go to a website called darksitefinder.com. That's what I use to find the darkest places in the world. You can see Europe is completely lit up and the whole eastern United States is, but we're interested in Carlin, Nevada. So I'll type in Carlin, Nevada, and you can see that it's really bright in town, which is typical. So I'm going to scroll out, and you can see, okay, from Carlin, Nevada, if you traveled, let's say north, it starts to get really, really dark up here. So we'll travel north a little bit and see if there's anything in the darkest areas. And the darkest areas here are the least light pollution. So scrolling down, we can kind of see there's a little lake out here, and lakes are really cool. There's a wild horse reservoir. I don't know if that's the one I found. Okay, right here, this is the one I found earlier. Wilson Sink Reservoir. So you think, okay, lakes are really cool to frame Milky Ways over, and I found this. And all right, now let's see. Now, lakes are cool and all that, but let's see if there's anything around the lake that would be interesting. Anything like rivers or anything that you could put the Milky Way over. So from here, I'll go into Google Earth. This is my favorite trick of the whole thing. I'm going to just go ahead and search for Wilson Sink Reservoir, because that's what we found on the Dark Site Finder, and Google Earth takes me straight to it. Now this is my favorite part here, because it's like, all right, we found this. This is the darkest spot tonight at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a Milky Way coming up over that. Now Milky Ways usually go from north to south, but right now, because it's so early, it's kind of a little bit northeast to a little bit, or northwest to a little bit southeast. So it's going to kind of be spanning this whole area right here. Now, my favorite part, I call this my favorite part, because you go down here to the left in Google Earth, if you don't already have it selected, and click Photos. And you can scroll down and you see pictures other people have taken. So you click on Untitled, and look at that. There's an old abandoned, or an old log cabin sitting right here on this Wilson Sink Reservoir. And it's located, you can kind of see it, it's right, I think it's right here. Yeah, there it is, right there. And it's actually angled right where the Milky Way is going to be over. And there's a little island that comes out right here. So this would be like if I lived in northern Nevada, anywhere near this area, you know, an hour away, I would drive here in the middle of the night tonight, get right on the edge of this little inlet here, and frame a Milky Way over that sucker. Because that's a beautiful little building, and you'd have one edge of the Milky Way over the water, and you'd have the other edge of the Milky Way out over the house. But yeah, that's basically how I do it. You know, you start off with your weather app here. You find where there's going to be a break in the clouds. Then you find a little town in there, and you go into Dark Site Finder here, type it in, and find any, you know, find the darkest place around that town where there's going to be no clouds tonight. And then you jump on over to Google Earth, and you type in the name of whatever, you know, body of water that's nearby, or whatever landmark that you found on Dark Site Finder, and then click on the pictures and see if there's anybody that's taken pictures around that area. And one cool thing that I found, like in my own area, is this is what really got me going onto it, is I live, you know, right over here, and it's only 20 miles down the road, and there's these old farmhouses out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, look at that thing. That is the coolest house. And there's just tons of them all out here, old farmhouse outbuilding. You know, just this whole area is just within a couple miles of each other. They've got this great big old barn out there, and it just, I mean, just marvelous subjects for framing a Milky Way over. And that was this album that I had to begin with. I went out there and I got this at 3 o'clock in the morning last week, and it was really cool. You can just get a million cool shots. And one thing you really have to worry about with the Milky Way is the moon can't be in the sky during the time when the Milky Way rises. And with this one, the moon was just barely starting to rise. There he is I only had about an hour and a half that night, and the moon started rising, and it was only a crescent moon, so it wasn't very bright. But when you get into the summertime, it gets really, really bright, and it'll just blow out the Milky Way. You won't be able to see it. As soon as that moon comes up, the Milky Way is gone. So you got to make sure. Right now, we're in the middle of the season, coming around. I think we're about the new moon right now, so there's absolutely no moon in the sky. And that's why I made this video, because it is the most ideal time to go out. And starting next month, I mean, there's some apps you can kind of look it up, Milky Way app or whatever. My friend told me about it the other day. Sky Tracker, I think, is what it was called, and that's how you can plan your Milky Way shot.